The Black Panther movie has been getting lots of ratings, and I know the NBA plays a game in Africa every year. Would you consider being part of that?
Well, I mean, I would love to. I mean, but it's not obviously I don't make the schedule, but listen, I would love to be a part of that.
Sport journalist with a deep passion for basketball. He's not just a storyteller.
Even though I wanted to study medicine, my mom dissuaded me. Being a medical practitioner, and then I found out, sports is something that comes naturally to me. I love it. And then I saw all of these things. I had a decision to make. It was either I falsify documents at my age, and then I get what they call an I-20, which is a student visa to come to prep school in America or college. By then I was like maybe 20, 21, and then you were looking for 14-year-olds.
Oh my God.
You know.
That's
second year in university, I stumbled into basketball. I say it, with every sincerity that I stumbled into basketball.
But you also have an incredible height. How tall are you again? Are you 6'2"?
I'm actually 6'4" without shoes. 6'4" and a few centimeters without shoes, but 6'5" with my shoes on.
How come you stumbled into basketball only in your second year university?
Trust me, the guys you see on TV, I'm going to be one of the shortest guys.
What?
All those guys. The average height in the NBA is 6'7". I'm just 6'5".
Average height is LeBron James.
LeBron James is 6'9". I'm not going to play football again because now you're in university, you want to be fresh, you're feeling, for the girls, I can't be throwing myself on the floor and getting dirty.
As a goalkeeper, trying to...
I want to see you here tomorrow.
That's
right. And cut long story short, I made the squad, right, for the school. Of course, a scout from the Ogun State Sports Commission called me aside, and they were offering me an invitation to join the state camp. Am I that good? So before then, it didn't really click. Yeah. So I'm like, wait, I came, I made school team. Now I'm here, I'm in the States.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed about the idea of being the next Akeem Olajuwon, practiced every day, played every So for basketball, the best place to be is in the US, right? Those things are very valid. And
good afternoon, everyone. Again, you're welcome to the Debo Taiwo Talk Show. And as always, we always bring incredible guests to the house to kind of serenade us with how they started the beginnings to what they're doing today, and great projects that they might have in the nearest possible future. Joining us today is a renowned sport journalist with a deep passion for basketball. He's not just a storyteller, but an advocate for the game's growth in Africa. He's known across his social media handles as Incredible Femi. He sometimes describes himself as Ani Ikaye One. Right?
Right.
I have Femi Adebo. So, Incredible Femi, you're welcome to the Debo Taiwo Talk Show. How are you today, Femi?
I'm good, Debo. Good to speak with you. It's been such a long time.
It's been a long minute.
Very long time. Great work you're doing. I've watched a few of the show, and it's been quite interesting, I must say. You're a good conversationalist.
Thank you. I mean, coming from you, that's a big deal because you've been around, you do media all the time. So I think that's a credit. I take this. Thanks. I'll take that. Yeah. So Femi, I know you on a personal note, but a lot of people might not know you on a personal note. So I'd like you to just share with the viewers who will be seeing you a little bit about your educational background. And let's start from that.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Oluwafemi Adefeso. I am an only son of two kids from my family. Interestingly, I'm the only one that didn't go to last week in my house.
Interesting.
Right.
Where did you graduate from again, though?
Yeah, I'm Taishan University of Education. Interestingly. Yeah, a lot of people think I finished from Unilag. I always wanted to go to the lag, but you know what happens now? Jams you once, twice, you find an alternative.
I know,
and
right?
then you hope that you will come back, but
Mhm.
you just let me just go with the ride. And
Slowly.
I'm glad I went there though, because a lot of the experiences had made me actually, I got shaped when I was in Ijebu. Then trust me, it was like a dead zone, but we thank God for life.
That's
I studied human kinetics, which was formerly called physical and health education, right? But I mean, it has a little bit of additional courses that makes it a bit more thick, human physiology and anatomy and all of that. So kind of like beyond just the sports that you do, on the field. So that's why I studied. So I've always had that passion for sports. It's always been part of my DNA. I played football when I was in school. Interestingly, made the school team from my GSS to football, not basketball.
Not basketball.
Yeah.
You understood?
Yeah, and then became the school goalkeeper. And then I just stuck to goalkeeping because I think the competition there, I could handle it. And for my junior secondary, I was already one of the top players in secondary school. So that kind of built my love for sports generally. Being active with football. So on going to the university, even though I wanted to study medicine, my mom dissuaded me. Being a medical practitioner herself, and I think she was right. She alluded to the fact that I was too unstable. Like I was very. The word skips my memory at this time. I just wasn't very mellow enough to sit down and study. I was always hyperactive. I always wanted to be outdoors. But she knew, I was smart enough to study, but she just felt that my temperament wasn't just right. So she just, just suggested softly, maybe you should try physical health education or mechanics. So I started doing my research, and then I found out, sports is something that comes naturally to me. I love it. And then I saw all of these things that gave me an opportunity to study something that was relating to medicine. So my initial goal was I'll become a sports physiotherapist, so I can work for a sports team, and then I'll be traveling all over the world and doing all of that stuff. And that was really what came to mind at the time. And then by the time I started, things started changing. Do I really want to do this thing? Then I wanted to just pursue being an athlete. So it was in my second year in university, I stumbled into basketball. I say it, with every sincerity that I stumbled into basketball. It wasn't my first choice.
Now, let me. Can I pause you there for 1 second?
Yes.
You are the Incredible Femi, and that name is not just like you coined it out. Like, obviously, great name, but you also have an incredible height. How tall are you again? Are you 6'2"?
I'm actually 6'4" without shoes, 6'4" and a few centimeters without shoes, but 6'5" with my shoes on.
How come you stumbled into basketball only in your second year university?
Yeah, you have to ask the same question, right? But interestingly, I wasn't always that tall when I was in secondary school. So my growth sprout started in between that waiting period when you're about to enter into university, and then my year one. Then I started growing. Tall, but I was average height, generally before then. So,
as for your height, you typically just get the ball and just dunk it, right?
Well, yeah, a lot of people assume that, but that's also erroneous because on the basketball court, there are a lot of tall guys. Trust me, the guys you see on TV, I'm going to be one of the shortest guys.
What?
All those guys. The average height in the NBA is 6'7". I'm just 6'5".
Average height.
Yeah, the average.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I would have assumed maybe like 6'1" or 6'2" might be the average height, but
so there are a few guys who are 6 feet. In fact, there's almost nobody that is below 6 feet. Right? Maybe 1, 2, 3 guys. Yeah, exception.
Random question for you. How tall is LeBron James?
LeBron James is 6'9".
What?
Yeah, LeBron James.
It doesn't look that tall on TV though.
That's what I'm saying, right? Until you get close to him, then you realize, oh, this guy is tall. And then you have a lot of guys who are 6'10", 6'11", 7 foot, 7'1", 7'2", 7'3", 7'4".
Okay.
So you can understand that 6'5" now is like bottom of the pyramid.
I see that.
The way you play. Yeah, but yeah, you need that athleticism, you need that height and all. So I mean, my second year, I remember I was one of those lecturers who came in and was like, you guys, we cannot be preparing for a competition. And then we have students in this department that are not representing the school, right? So it's sort of like, twisted us into going to the field that day. And I remembered, I was like, I'm not going to play football again because now you're in university, you want to be fresh, you're feeling, for the girls, I was like, I can't be throwing myself on the floor and getting dirty.
As a goalkeeper, trying to
You understand?
right?
So I needed to find another sport, right? Even though, to be fair, I played a little bit of basketball in secondary school, right? So it's not like I had never seen basketball before.
Apparently, of course.
Right, but I mean, football was the thing. We just played when maybe we were waiting for our turn to play a soccer game or something, because we never had a basketball court in my secondary school.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
I just said, okay, I'll go play basketball. Actually, I have an idea of actually all the games. At least I can play at an average level, virtually many sports. So I went to the basketball court, and I remember immediately after practice, the coach was like, "Hey, young man, where have you been?" I've been in school studying my book. I came here to read. I was like, I want to see you here tomorrow.
That's
right. And cut long story short, I made the squad, right, for the school. Of course, there were a lot of 400 level guys and all of that, so they wanted them to play because it was their last year. And I was on that team. I didn't play any match. Then there was another competition which was now statewide. It was called Gateway Institutions Game Katig. I remember then I represented the school and I played. And then a scout from the Ogun State Sports Commission called me aside, and they were offering me an invitation to join the state camp for the Gateway Games. This was in 2006. I'm like, wait, am I that good? So before then, it didn't really click. Like, yeah. So I'm like, wait, I made school team. Now I'm here, I'm in the States.
Yeah.
I was like, how far? What's going on here? Yeah. So it was an awakening that came to me very quickly. But of course, there was a gap now. I had not. Imagine how many years you've not played competitively, you've not learned the fundamentals. All of those gaps were in my game because there were so many loopholes. So that was where the hunger for basketball then came. And then everything about doing physiotherapy was just on the side. But let me focus on playing basketball professionally. So that's how the journey started.
That's interesting. Go for it.
Yeah, so that's how the journey started. My passion for basketball, because I then became obsessed about the idea of being the next Akeem Olajuwon. Practiced every day, played every competition, traveled to Lagos. So I was in Lagos. I was at Unilag almost every other time. That's why I'm very, a lot of people think I finished. There are even lecturers in Unilag today who think I finished from Unilag. Because I would come around, be at the sports center, I would play games, every competition I would go, and that was just my dream then. But then reality dawned by the time I was done with school, because obviously by the time I realized that my interest in basketball was probably 19 thereabouts, and of course you already past the age of development, right? And so for basketball, the best place to be is in the US, right? You do always go through the NBA. The NBA draft always goes through, the college route, which is the formula for getting to the NBA. Even though these days now they are scouting players from Europe, and but then you have to go to a college. Even if it's just 1 year, you spend there in the NCAA, then they draft you. But unfortunately for me, because of my age and the level of skill that I had, I couldn't go straight to college, right? But there were opportunities to go to high school. Now this is test number one for me in life, which is one of the things that has shaped me, right? So I had a decision to make. It was either I falsify documents at my age, and then I get what they call an I-20, which is a student visa to come to prep school in America or college. By then I was like maybe 20, 21, and then they were looking for 14-year-olds.
Oh my God. That's probably the allegation that they say happens around footballers, or soccer players from some developing countries where they get indication of ages and all that stuff. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, those things are very valid, and I won't blame them. I would chime in a little bit on why that happens, and that's one of the things that also drives my passion for the growth of the game on the continent and the non-profit that I run currently.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I got all of those opportunities to go to Italy, to go to Germany, to go to the US, but then they're needing a child that was 5 years younger, 6 years younger. And so I had to make a hard call. Do I want to go this route or do I want to keep pushing? So I said, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I will, see what I can do for myself to grow my, talent to be elite enough. Because already there was a deficit. Because all these other years I wasn't playing, I wasn't practicing, I wasn't learning the fundamentals of the game. Just what you watched on TV or what you saw people play. So I was just playing what I knew, right? But then I realized that for you to take this thing to seven, there's a boy somewhere who
that's all he's done from his life, like all
exactly.
I get it.
You can't just stumble into it at 19 and then
I get it.
you want to grow in it. So I gave myself my youth service year, right? That I was going to use that year to define whether or not I would play. So I practiced every day. I served in Kwara State, by the way. Okay. So I always go to Ilorin every weekend, train with the Kwara Falcons or the Kwara team that were at the stadium. I tried to see how I could improve myself. Then sometimes I'll come to Lagos, join a few academies, just try to upskill and develop all of those fundamentals. But it wasn't easy because it's just space of time, so much work. Because I just told myself that if at 20 or 21 I couldn't sign the professional contract with the way I was, then it means I'm not good enough, right? So I wouldn't. So I did that 1 year. It passed. Then I came to Lagos. I came back to Lagos. I gave myself another 6 months to join the team and try to learn. So I joined Jordan Warriors Academy for a bit. I noticed it wasn't working. They weren't having my time. They had their own program. I switched to National Stadium. I joined Raptors Academy also. And then again, so it wasn't like my skill level wasn't good. What was that I had missed? Because for me to have gone so quickly and some people could identify that I was talented
enough to move from the school team to the state team, then you definitely had some potentials for sure.
Exactly. So the potential was there, but there were fundamentals that were lacking, and I was aware of it for myself. So, but I mean, and as I was wasting more time, I was getting older.
Time was going.
Yeah, and what happens there? So I sat down one day and I had to make a hard call. Second hard call. Do you want to keep pursuing this, or do you want to find something else? So I talked to myself and I realized that, look, what my mom told me then, I was too restless. That was the word I was looking for earlier. I was too restless, to actually do a regular 9 to 5, like sit behind the desk, for a couple of hours and get assignments done and stuff. Now I'm doing it though because I'm forced to, right? But then it looked like this thing cannot work for me. So I just thought about it, that this sports thing, I still have passion for it. What else can I do in the ecosystem of sports? Yeah. So first option was to go back to my sports physiotherapy thing. Second option was to become a sports journalist.
Interesting.
Right. So I yeah, and then yeah. So as I was thinking about it again, then I remember one comment my mom used to make. Especially when sports is around. Femi, you talk too much, right? She says she used to say that a lot growing up. Because sports was always on TV, I'll do all the analysis, I'll not allow them watch, I'll be doing all of those things. So it just clicked in my memory. Oh, Femi, maybe this sports thing I can actually talk on. And then my radio was always on Brilla FM. I used to listen to all the sports shows.
88.9 FM at the time.
Yeah, all the sports shows on TV. You would move from LTV, the Godwin, to Sport Extra with Michelle Obi, to the guys at Wally Sports, exactly, Silverbird. Yeah. I would, like, every morning I had like a routine, hour by hour. I would go, same thing on radio, as well. So I followed, right? And I didn't know that was building something up in me. So I was like, okay, you know what? I want to do sports journalism. Okay. So the money I saved from youth service, I still had some. I decided to enroll in Nigeria Institute journalism, at Ogba,
Yeah.
and to do a postgraduate diploma in broadcasting. I focus on broadcast, but mass communication.
Okay.
So it was there, I started that journey in sports journalism. That was around 2012, late 2012, into 2013. Then I decided I wanted to have experience while, I was learning journalism. And I think I need to say this too. So the reason why I also took journalism seriously by going to school first was because I was fighting, the ghost that haunted my basketball career. I felt because I didn't learn and have the fundamentals, I lost that career. So I was deliberate about going into this, knowing that, look, this one, I'm going to learn everything. I'll have all the body of knowledge, regardless of my passion or my talent that I have. I'm going to focus on acquiring the right level of skill and knowledge. So while I was at NIJ, I was volunteering on radio at Unilag Radio, as a reporter, right? So we're always on every morning. And I remember one of the decisions I made, aside from my passion for basketball, was I needed to be different. I wanted to be spotted easily, so I chose basketball. Yes, because I played that was one, but the real major reason was I just wanted to create a niche for myself and differentiate myself, because then we all talked about Man U, Chelsea, Arsenal, EPL, MPFL. I followed all those things because that was the bragging thing, because you listen to it on radio, you watch it on TV, and all. But basketball wasn't common. So I just felt somebody's doing basketball. I think I should take on that role to become the guy, that focuses on basketball. And I remember the first ever CV I wrote. I put it there that to be the best, as my mission, to be the best basketball reporter in West Africa. That's interesting. And interestingly too was that a job interview actually updated that line, from instead of West Africa to Africa. I went for an interview at Beat FM. Okay. And I remember, I think the woman's name is Amira Okoli or something. Amira, I remember her first name. And I sat across the table, and she was asking me about my passion and all of that, and I said it, and she was like, why am I limiting myself to West Africa? Why not Africa? And
was this interview for the role of a sport journalist as well?
Yes. It was a role for a sports journalist. Although I didn't get that. Interesting story why I didn't get that job. Yeah. I got the job, but I gave it away.
You gave it away?
Yeah, I gave it away because part of my bargain was that because before then, so I started volunteering at Unilag FM in 2012. So I did that, late 2012. So I did that into 2013. So by 2013, I started traveling to cover the Nigerian League and then even the national team. Because 2013, I think it was.
For you, were you doing that freelance? Was it a freelance covering?
Yes, it was freelance. I was unpaid. You were unpaid. I was unpaid. Was a volunteer thing. But while I was there, I was so passionate that I didn't really care. I remember I would prepare for. Radio was a 15-minute show, right? In a 15-minute show, you talk about everything. I had maybe 2 minutes to talk about basketball, like give a report of what happened the night before and all of that. I leave the house maybe 4:35 because the show is 7:30. You need to prepare. Some games are still on when I leave the house. It's NBA, right? So they play too late in the morning here. And I remember, then we will study. You get all the statistics because you have to run and rap and do all of that stuff. But I was enjoying it. Right? So I was enjoying it so much that I was like, I always got good comments from students in school, even people outside were listening to Unilag Radio, then were big. So I decided, I will focus on the national teams as well. So in 2013, I told our head of sports, Shimajida, that I wanted to go cover the Nations Cup for basketball. It was in Cote d'Ivoire. They were not paying me. They didn't have money. They didn't have anything. I said, no, well, I'll find a way as long as, I know that I'm not impersonating, and they give me ID card and all that. So they got me an ID, did all that stuff. And I took a 2-day road trip to Cote d'Ivoire. That's another audacious thing I've done.
2-day road trip.
road trip.
How many hours is it by road? I mean, to travel by road to Cote d'Ivoire.
So I did a 2-day road trip, interestingly, right? But it's not as long as 2 days, right? You could use technically 1 day, right?
I get
so the mistake. So I left. I can't remember the time I left Lagos. So what I did was I wanted to go with, what's the name of this? I think it was Young Shall Grow or something, right? But there are days of the week that they travel, right?
So you had to go with a friend.
Exactly. Because if I wanted to go, then it means I had to wait like a week, and then maybe Nigeria would have played all their group games and all of that. So there was no point. So I took a bus going to Ghana, going to Accra.
Mm-hmm.
Then from Accra, I took another bus to Abidjan.
I get it.
So
I have many more questions to ask you, Femi. So let me ask you a few more questions here before my time.
Right.
So I wanted to find out, obviously, thank you again for the great summary of how your incredible passion for basketball and not being able to play at the professional league then motivated you to start a career as a sports journalist focusing on basketball. And apparently, like you rightly said, you wanted to carve a niche for yourself, and I think you have done that successfully well. I've been watching you on TV for God knows how long, maybe about 10 years now, or even a little more, or maybe less, you can clarify, but you've done it incredibly well. I wanted to find out, what has been the most challenging part of covering basketball in Nigeria or Africa? Of course, you just talked about that, about traveling, pro bono to Ivory Coast on a 2-day trip. But you have more, what other challenges do you have as well?
Yeah, I mean, quite a lot, right? First of all, basketball is not as popular, right, as football.
No, it's
not. So, most guys will probably get sponsorship or partnerships to go cover the African Football Cup of Nations, AFCON. It's easier because brands are jumping in. I don't want to drop names of brands, right? But I mean, except you want to give them free adverts.
No, well, we don't. Yeah, I completely understand. Like a lot of brands jump in. Yeah, you can't. I get it.
Yeah, know. So a lot of them jump in. So they have one thing or the other, whether behind the scenes content or with the teams or with the tournament itself. So I mean, journalists get opportunity to travel, all expense paid. But for me, I mean, every travel I've made, I say it with all boldness. Every travel I've made, every single travel I've made, with regards to sports, has been on my own deal.
That's
right. Yeah, so that's been one of the huge sacrifices. Whether I was going to the US, for the All-Star weekend, NBA regular season games, or it was Afro Baskets. I've been fortunate to have attended 5 Afro Basket Championships. So that's the African Basketball Nations Cup, both male and female. God bless me with being around for 2 wins. When the male guys won in 2015 in Tunisia, I was there. That was our first Afro Basket. And then when the girls started this dynasty in 2017 in Bamako, I was there as well. All of those things. So there's always the misconception that maybe you're flying under the wings of the federation, because I was the only journalist there, by the way. So they had to give me access. They didn't have a choice, right? Because there was nobody to promote or propagate what was going on around the teams. So I had a lot of media houses who would call me from there, please come and have an interview and all. That's one of the challenges. They don't want to pay, for those exclusives. Interesting.
But that's not the best. Like, how do you then source for funds consistently to make these trips? I mean, leaving Nigeria to the States these days definitely costs a lot of money. Even it's always been expensive, but these days will be a lot more expensive. How do you source for funds? You have people who sort of support you. I mean, like, the game, sometimes they send you stuff like we hear people do, like fans, sort of.
Let me speak Nigerian English. I pray. I mean, that's a very interesting question, right? So first of all, I've come to understand that this cannot be my primary source of income, right? As much as I love it and I think it can actually generate revenue. So I found a way to find something else that would help me fund this.
That's
right. I mean, it's just a smart way to go about it. Also, on the second part is I've been able to also work for some international media organizations. So I found out very quickly that since this local guys, if I limit myself, I would not be able to achieve anything. So I've had the opportunity of doing stuff for the likes of BBC, the likes of ESPN, Africa, CGTN. So I've had pieces like that I've done that they've ended up paying some money that has maybe covered up for maybe hotel 50%, just cover up for things basically. So officially, I don't know if I should be saying it, but officially I haven't actually broken even any of my
But we know you, we see what you're doing and your love for the game. Hopefully, definitely it's gonna happen. You're gonna break even, and then you would say, "Oh yeah, I can, potentially make X amount of money."
Right.
At the moment, so
right.
Everyone says it's Oruko Maroyan, so you're it's gonna happen.
I believe so. But it's been good too, right? Because you have all these goals and you're achieving them. And you just realize that, for everything in life, there's a price to pay, right? So you look at it and you're like, if this is the price to pay to achieve this, well, let's pay the price now, right? And build all these things, because I also believe that there's a compound interest, that is going to come. Like you say, I'm very positive.
Definitely.
But you just have to keep.
For you, I've been at this for about 10 years or 10 years.
Yeah, over 10 years.
That's consistency. Like that's I give you like thumbs up, double one. Like it's definitely gonna happen. Who's the biggest name that you have interviewed yet? And if you had an opportunity to pick a basketball legend, who are you looking forward to interviewing? So that's like a double-barrel question. We have about 5 minutes left, so I like to keep this.
Wow.
So allow me.
Okay. Who have I interviewed? I think the biggest name I've interviewed is LeBron. I interviewed LeBron James in 2018. That interview is pinned on my Instagram. I asked him about coming to Africa. That was when the Black Panther movie was kind of like in vogue, and I think that was even the beginning of this renaissance for going back home, Africa, people going to Ghana, coming to Nigeria, and 30 December really began to become something. Everybody started coming up, because there are a lot of developmental projects that need that awareness. So LeBron, I don't want to go into all those details. Who would I wish to interview now? Akeem Olajuwon, definitely. I was fortunate to be a part of the book that was written about him. Miriam Feder wrote that book. It came out this October. I think a lot of people should go read that book. I interviewed some of his coaches in Nigeria and some of his teammates. It's very incredible. He's somebody who doesn't like media, but I would really love the opportunity to sit down and talk to him. Michael Jordan, obviously, as well as another human being I would really love to speak with and talk to, because he's transcended beyond those sports, beyond those basketball.
Michael Jordan is an household game, 100%. That's really good. And then quickly, can you in a few minutes tell us exactly what projects or collaborations you're currently working on? That's one question. And then I also say, if someone is looking forward to becoming a basketball sport journalist as you are, we already know that there's a lot of perseverance, there's a lot of financial sacrifice, but would there be anything else that you can share with them that can help them grow a sport career in basketball? So those are my final questions for you. Just like 15 minutes for both of those questions.
Okay. Sorry, the first one again, very quickly.
So the first one again is, what exciting projects or collaborations are you?
Okay, projects. So I started a non-profit called BALL. BALL, Balls Activism, Social and Leadership, and basically it's advocacy for education and understanding the sports value chain. So education for athletes and people who want to go into sports, so that they can, if they can't play professionally, they can end up like me, finding the other career paths in the value chain. So we tend to expose them to that value chain and then look for elite training for some of those kids. Then we donate sports equipment, because I came up with a theory that maybe if I taught the basketball when I was much earlier in my years, I probably would have developed all the things that I thought I didn't have. So we donate equipment and all of that. We've been able to reach out to about 3,000 kids so far. We've donated 2,000, we've donated about 300 things. So partner with a few friends who send me shoes,
That's
some I buy and all of that. And we focus on, Ajegunle, Ijora, all those places
I
where,
get it.
those who cannot really afford it, but they need that exposure. For somebody who wants to go into sports journalism, I think first of all is you need passion, right? If you don't love it, you get tired. Because in Nigeria, it's not exactly as lucrative, right? It got so good, I've been able to grow my tentacles outside, even the continent. So some days, those are like the validations you get that you have value and you're bringing value to the table.
Right now, you're sitting you're talking to me from the city of lights, like the bright light city, right?
Right.
I don't want to expose your location, but anyway, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You can. I can say I'm in New York, right?
I know.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, also it's from networking, and a few things that's got me here. I was in the NBA office a couple of days ago, and I just even posted, a video of some of the things that I saw, and it's incredible how much you can achieve. But if you are focused on the traveling, focused on snapping pictures with people, meeting all of those things, they are not the real reward. And don't worry, trust me, you won't get the drive to push, because like they say, everything that is great it's kind of hard, right? Then you need to know your stuff, right? Beyond just the average guy, everybody has the stats now. Everybody watches the game. So what do you bring that makes you stand, that makes you unique? So you need to find that stuff. Is it in the hardcore facts? Is it in the way you present? Is it in your poise? Is it in the data, the analytics that you use? You have to find something that defines you. So easily people can say, oh, I know this guy for this. If you say Stephen A. Smith, if you say Skip Bayless, you can tell, So everybody needs to stand for something. And I think that's one thing you need to find. What's your style that suits you, that makes you really, identifiable. Those are the real key things that you need. And then you need support, right? You need support. It's always going to be difficult, but there are times you need people to just, lean on. You need a team to, be able to push you to do stuff at times as well. So those would be like the pointers I would give, because I know you're racing against time.
Yeah, sure. Thank you again, Femi Adefeso, known as Incredible Femi, a renowned sports basketball journalist from Nigeria, but it's taking Nigeria to the global map. Is always everywhere around the world, bringing insightful analytics around basketball for lovers of the game of basketball. Do you have any final words for me, Femi, before we call it a wrap?
Yeah, I just want to say kudos to you. Well done for taking this. I think you're onto something amazing, right? In fact, I've been thinking about starting a podcast, but I mean, coming on and just having this conversation is inspiring.
You should. If you're thinking about it, you should start a podcast, and would definitely listen to it. That's also another way that you can use your expertise to generate some income. You have a lot of network, so definitely I would encourage you to start.
Right. Yeah. So
let's do it.
Right, I couldn't think about it because I have so many things I'm worried about. Right? But it's something that I'm definitely going to work on. Hopefully, before I go back to even Nigeria, I'll start work on it very quickly. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. But overall, yeah, that's it. Debo, you're doing great. Something great. I like it. It's fun to listen. It's fun to watch. I'm excited about the future of this. Hopefully we would celebrate 1,000 episodes at some point, and who knows, maybe a watch party for all your interviewees at some point.